Thank you. Ted Cruz put on a tweet today that he came up with the idea to pay for the fucking wall. Which I thought of 2 years ago, and I posted it on social media. Then Laura Ingraham fucking copied me and said it was her idea. Then Ted Cruz copied me and said it was his idea. Now Ted Cruz is coming back and saying that take the fucking $15 billion that we stole from the little drug shit, and pay for the wall, which is a no-brainer. It took me about the same time I took a shit that morning, I thought of it. It's a no-brainer. We have 35 billion is what we got from the little shit.
You got El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Yes, I know I did. And now, these cocksuckers, we don't have to shut down the government now. We just take the money from the little drug shit. Fucking shit. That's why politicians are shitbags. And he's an Hispanic shitbag on that, on top of it all. One of my brothers. But anyway, we could. And then the wall's done. It's sitting in a goddamn federal prison vault or some shit right now, all the money. But instead we're going to shut down the government, which I think is a good idea, actually. Guys like this wouldn't get paid then. He shouldn't have got paid anyway, but that's a whole other story. It's a whole other story. Why is Loafers on? Oh, now I remember. It's not part of the seminar, but a deal. If you wore loafers back in the day of EDS with Ross Perot, you got fired. If you wore lace shoes, if you didn't wear lace shoes with five
Eyelid.
what do they call them?
Eyelid.
Yeah, whatever they're. 5. 4, 6, you're fired. And there's still some people, old school, if you come in with tassels, forget about it. There's no meeting. Fucking whatever that color is, forget about it. Didn't have, what's the other one here? Briefcase could only have 3 things in it. The EDS personnel manual, because that's what they used to call it back in those days, a Bible, and a picture of your family. That's it. If he spot checked your briefcase, and you're fired. White shirt, like the Men in Black look. You know that movie, The Men in Black? Is that the right movie? Yeah. With Will Smith and, okay. No color coordination. You can make a dark blue, black tie, white shirt, no button downs. No, with a little thing, piece of, the little metal thing that to the top. And when he sold out to General Motors, he was the largest shareholder in General Motors. And he lasted about 5, 7, 8 months on the board, and he resigned because he says, this place is fucked up beyond recognition. I can't help you. It was his way or the highway. And he and Jim Newman were part of the first brain drain from IBM when they left IBM in, I think it was the early 60s. But there are still guys that they look at your feet, because loafers, other than you're a loafer, there's the word loafer, a loafer, he's a lazy fuck, he's Irish, he's a bum, or he's a sailor, a drunken sailor,
Same thing.
Same thing. Now, an Irish sailor, fuck, I can't even imagine. Does Ireland have a navy?
No, not really.
Not really. Or the Coast Guard.
Yeah. But the movie you saw last night was what?
Men Who Built America.
Yeah, but who did they go over? Rockefeller. Did they show that Rockefeller was this? He was 5'1".
No, Rockefeller, they showed
The guy is a tall guy.
No, well, I mean, in real life he wasn't. But anyway,
Carnegie was short too.
Yes, he was. He was 5'3" or 5'4". There's a message there, by the way. Yeah, they're way up, and they've got the Napoleon complex. We don't have any dwarfs on the Hall of Fame. Come to think of it, no. The gals are short.
How tall is Dad Luke?
He's about 5'8", 5'9". Yeah, but one of you guys from the November seminar, your seminar, he got 3-inch heels on his shoes. He put in his weekly report. I'm not going to say who it was, but anyway, 3-inch heels. Now, 3 inches is pretty noticeable. And he says it makes all the difference. Now, this is in his mind. It makes all the difference in the world to me when I walk into a meeting.
Is it the hidden heel inside there?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like, a woman's heel. I don't know that. He didn't send me a picture of the. I'm gonna in the next when in the new year I'm gonna ask him, send me a picture. I want to see what it looks like. But I mean, supposedly guys like Tom Cruise wear elevator. Is that what they call elevator shoes or whatever? And a lot of the short actors. And I think I told you, Jimmy Stewart, who was a famous actor from the 40s and 50s and 60s, he was about 6'3" or 6'4", and he and John Wayne and a few others were the last of the tall actors. Subsequent to that, and Clint Eastwood is pretty tall, but the rest of them are short, and you can't. I don't know if you can't, but it's harder to get a job in casting to be an extra if you're real tall, because then you make the other guys look short. And the Mission Impossible, that group that keeps making the Mission Impossible movies, they're all short guys. Okay, so what about the movie? Other than it's ruthless, single-mindedness, focus. I mean,
I was curious about the QLA is based on the Carnegie.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And as far as what they were portraying, at least that moment in time, they didn't really show what Carnegie might have been doing that way. It looked like he was making his money in the steel.
Well, I mean, but he supposedly started the steel industry in America, but the way he got the steel companies was with debt, heavily leveraged debt, and no equity, because he didn't. And I exaggerate. He was a mean little cheap Scotsman who wouldn't give you a fucking ice in winter. You know how a Scotsman and a Yorkshireman invented copper wire by fighting over a penny, copper penny. That's how copper wire was invented. And then you can add any other kind of ethnic group you want. But to this day, the private equity business in this country is, I'm not going to say it's non-existent, but it's almost non-existent. And the like Aberdeen Asset Management, which is a huge, they manage hundreds of billions. All down south is where they put the money, not up here, because they would rather use DEP. But DEP is a two-edged sword. It's great in an up market. It's terrific. You think it's easy. Anybody can make money in a bull market. But when it swings the other way, and they start calling your loans, just like margin is good in the stock market when it's up. And but when there's a big sell-off, and they have things called margin calls, I mean, it's quite debilitating. And again, I told you that a vast majority, 80 or 90% of all the money that's managed right now is managed by kids that have less than 10 years experience, and there's virtually nobody that was around for the 87 crash. And in the 87 crash, although I'd already been out of the Wall Street firm, what you did is you just went to the bar and drank for 2 or 3 days, and you didn't answer the phone. If there was some estimates that if everybody had answered the phones of their panicking, both corporate and individual clients, the market would have been down another 25%. And people were showing up at their branch offices of Merrill Lynch and these guys, and there was nobody sitting behind the machines because they were all in the pub, you know.
Fighting over the penny.
Yeah, fighting over a penny. What else about those guys? Yes, sir.
He didn't want to be the bad guy, so to speak, so he outsourced it. What he didn't want to do, he outsourced it to, was it Frick or something? Yeah. He didn't give a shit.
Who was a ruthless shit. I mean, he was supposed like my hatchet over there. See the hatchet man? I got what day does that say?
1979 August.
August what? August 9th? Yeah, August 9th, 1977, right?
79.
79? Okay. When I was sent to clean up a deal, which I got arrested. They arrested me when we landed in the private plane in Wausau, Wisconsin. And got arrested, and it was over some holiday. I forget what holiday. It might have been Easter, but I cleaned it up. I got the job done, and then in those local places they have sheriffs instead of judges, and the local sheriff they ruled in my favor, and they said and that's why I started the thing, Run Like a Thief in the Night. And it was nighttime by the time. He says, if I were you, young man, I'd run like a thief in the night and get on that fancy jet aeroplane that you have and get out of fucking town. And that's exactly what I did. I ran like a thief in the night to get to the plane. And it's just like in the movies. I mean, it was in a hangar, and I had to pay guys money. That's why you should always carry, well, in those days, I used to carry $700, $800, $900 cash with me all the time. And not bitcoins, or cash. And, I'm paying guys to open the hangar up and pull the fucking plane out. And I hired a pilot on the spot, because my pilot was still in jail. And
Combined brothel.
yeah, well, no. And so then we got up and boom. A funny story about jets. And I'm telling you not to get them, but they are fun. I'm in Aspen, Colorado at some kind of conference for oil conference, and my wife decides that she wants to come and see me for the weekend, so we send the jet. That's $10,000 there, $10,000 back to come and see me. And when they get to Aspen is a daylight airport. It used to be. I don't know if it is now. You can only land in the daytime, not in the nighttime. So it's dusk. So my pilots land, it's dusk. So the FAA, I think is what they're called, the FAA, well, on the spot, is telling me that they're going to impound the plane, and I'm, again, mea culpa, these guys aren't from here, blah, 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 blah. And they say, okay, it's a $10,000 fine. Okay, fine. So it's $10,000 to go there, $10,000 to come back, plus a $10,000 fine now, just so the wife can be there for the fucking weekend. So as I'm saying, signing the papers that I won't do it again, my plane takes off in the night. Dark. And so he rips up the papers and says, and so then it was a $25,000 fine on top of the $10,000 fine. And but the first time I was in a plane and my martini glass is like this, and he banked like this, and gravity keeps the liquor in the glass. I said, John, do that again. And then he did a cartwheel, and he went all the way around like this, and the liquor still stays in the glass. Oh, do that again. And, but you can't justify them. No matter how much money you're making, you can't justify them.
Nowadays you can lease it.
What? Oh yeah, now net jets, and there's 5 or 6.
JetSmarter.
Yeah. Where you own a fractional, you own 1/25th or 1/50th. And for some reason, it seems to work out. I would think that everybody wants to go on Christmas Day, or everybody wants to go skiing on such and such, but apparently not. Very seldom do they,
And they give you a pool of this. It's not like you're owning just a portion of one.
No, it's a lot of planes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Correct. And so for, a couple $100,000, you can, in America, or if you're going to be in Europe, not going across the Atlantic kind of thing, I mean, you can virtually have your own plane. at your disposal. I mean, a couple $100,000 isn't, you know. When you missed your apartment rent for last month, a couple $100,000 is a lot of money. I still remember that. But when you're running and gunning, I mean, a couple $100,000. What else? Yes, sir.
Carnegie decided what he was going to do before he knew how to do it. And he was going to build a bridge across the Mississippi. And it was like the idea of steel came from that decision. And in him doing that, having to fund that, like you always say, he overspent. He overspent what he had to fund the project. And then he had to get debt and some other sources to fund the manufacturing, but still he needed to have the bridge built.
If we waited around, it's like engineers on an assembly line of a car. The car would never come off the assembly line because the engineers always want to finger fart with it to make it this, make it better, etc. Yeah, I mean, these guys and the guy and the most successful guys on the Hall of Fame, if they waited around to learn how to do it, the QLA model with one moving part, a motivated seller, is just one tool that then you leverage off of that one tool to learn how to do a bunch of other things to get the job done. And then after you've been doing it for almost 50 years like I have, I mean, you have a whole toolbox. And as I said at the regular seminar, this is the beginning of you being the conductor of the orchestra. We're going to do this, we're going to use this, we're going to use this, and you're telling them what to do when you want them to do it. Remember, leadership is you having them do what you want to do, them to do when you want them to do it, not when they want to do it, because they will never be ready. It's just like when you call somebody and you say, is this a good time to call? And why people don't take calls, they want to know, well, I don't recognize that number, who's that, why is he calling? And you go through all these permutations because you don't want to appear to be unprepared. You don't want to appear to engage in some sort of self-deprecation, making fun of yourself. Whereas, I'm not condoning this, Elon Musk, he had to know he was going to take shit for smoking weed on Joe Rogan's show. He had to know that. He's a smart guy. Okay? He had to, but he didn't give a shit. He had to know when he told the SEC that they were unfair and they were all fucking full of shit after he paid a $20 million fine or something like that. He had to know, but he didn't give a shit. And the cult following that follows Elon and his various ventures, they're living vicariously through Mr. Musk. They may not have the balls to do those things, and most of them don't, but they're following him because he does have the balls to do it. And it's not because he's not smart enough to know that he's stepping on his dick. He just doesn't give a shit. And we're raised to give a shit. I wasn't raised to give a shit, but most of us are raised. Anything else?
No, but just like you're talking about Elon Musk, I mean, he's so involved in his project. Like when he had to ship those 5,000 cars, he was sleeping in the factory. But in yesterday's movie, it's good to outsource like Carnegie did with this brick, but he ran it down to the ground. And I was wondering what was he doing in Scotland? I mean, with all that action happening in the US, why was he in Scotland in the first place? And then he had to go and clean up the shit because it got pretty bad.
Well, I mean, he started to give his money away. Okay, YouTube, see you later. He started.